Welcome to this Friday morning edition of Rational Nuggets. My name is George Bekmezian, and I want to infuse a little bit of rationality into your day today. What I'm going to do is review this Skagit Valley coral superspreading event that took place on March 10th. Look, it is not rational to be anti-science. We're not anti-science here. What I'm going to do is share studies, share facts, and explain how those scientific findings support rational decisions. Some people reach conclusions citing these very same articles that frankly don't make any sense. So let's go to the document. This is the actual article that's a preprint because it hasn't been peer reviewed. This was published on June 15th of 2020 in this format, which we're about to go over right here. Right off the bat, a few of the things that I want to point out that they say here that after the rehearsal, 53 members of the 61 in attendance were confirmed or strongly suspected to have contracted COVID-19. Why weren't they all confirmed? I don't know, but it's kind of funny that they make all these assumptions. Because this is a rational nugget, I'm going to keep it short and to the point. If you're not familiar with what a SSE or a super spreading event is, basically they are events where a large number of people are thought to be infected from one or two people, and that's a super spreading event. This case study discusses a lot of things. I will have the link to the case study in the description, and you're welcome to go and review or read the entire case study yourself. As we review the results of this case study together, we must accept the following assumptions at face value, as they are not addressed in this article at all. First of all, that there was only a single infected individual at the choir practice on the day of practice. Next, that single individual was actually pre-symptomatic, meaning they didn't have any symptoms on the day of practice. I want to take a moment and point out the difference between pre-symptomatic and asymptomatic individuals. Asymptomatic individuals never develop symptoms, whereas pre-symptomatic individuals develop symptoms. And in this case, the article states the super spreader developed symptoms a couple of days following this event. The next assumption that we have to accept is that the choir attendees who ended up with a COVID infection weren't exposed to any other infected individuals anywhere else days before or days after this choir practice. Also, another assumption, the choir members didn't meet or socialize with each other at any point days before or days following the choir practice. The final assumption we have to accept is the estimates in this article about air circulation, viral load, and all the statistics that they're using are accurate. So if we accept all those assumptions and accept there are enough pathogens forced through the air by singing, remember, singing is definitely not the same as speaking. You are pushing more air out than you normally would in a conversation. So we have to accept that there are enough pathogens that get forced through the air by singing, and accept the values for how much aerosols remain in the air and are in the confined spaces of this choir practice. So we have to accept those numbers. Assuming all of that, let's review this chart right here. We can see this figure shows the probability of infection as a function of loss rates for varying event duration, meaning this D at the top is the legend for what these lines represent. This is a duration of time the individual is exposed to this confined space where the viral load is being spread. So that's the D. This left axis here is showing the probability of infection. They're saying that if you've spent 2.5 hours exposed and the loss rate coefficient, this is charting how much air circulation and filtration is happening in the space. The better circulation, the better air is moved, then you can see your probability of infection goes down as well. This study doesn't cover this. However, imagine yourself in Home Depot or the grocery store or Walmart, which are much larger spaces. They have better air circulation and people are spread out much more. We can extrapolate. Here, we can see if you spent a half hour in a place that has, again, and this assumes constant air exhaling from the spreader himself or herself. What we can see is that your risks of being infected from that person can range from under 15% to less than 5%. It doesn't make sense to require universal face masking. It certainly makes sense to require face masking. If we're in confined spaces, we're in those spaces for long periods of time, and those spaces do not have good circulation. However, as a general rule, it doesn't make a lot of sense to force face masks in all venues, especially it doesn't make any sense in outdoor venues. Thank you for taking the time and watching this. If it was beneficial, share it, help inform other people. There's not any reason to be scared. There's not a reason to live like a prisoner. Stay strong. Until next time, I'm out.